Book 1, Skydream Iceworm. Chapter 2.3, Skydream Iceworm. Too weak, too weak. This is simply too tragic. I'm so pitiful, Just how many more seals will I have to put on my body before his weak body can support me? It's so hard to become an intelligent soul ring. When the Skydream Iceworm had surged towards Huoyuhao's body, a layer of incorporeal spiritual undulations had spread out from its body. These terrifying spiritual energy undulations almost instantly covered everything within 100 miles. When the spiritual energy undulations covered Bibi and Tangya, who had sped up to chase after Huoyuhao, they immediately fell into a momentarily sluggish state. Although the spiritual attack hadn't been too damaging, it still caused all living beings to lose their ability to think for a short period of time. At this moment, a large portion of the southern area of the Great Stardew Forest had become frighteningly quiet. Previously, the sky had been extremely clear and sunny. However, it had suddenly darkened, and a thunder-like boom resounded out in the air. In that instant, the sun's brilliant rays of light were unexpectedly covered up by the darkness. Then, an enormous pressure that caused one to be unable to even breathe descended from the sky. When the thunder-like boom resounded in the air, the Skydream Iceworm's enormous body, who was currently trying to merge with Huoyuhao's body, violently shook for a moment. Its small, golden eyes looked upwards into the sky, and a terrified look immediately appeared inside of them. Inside of that terrified expression was also a hint of shock. The pressure in the sky clearly hadn't affected it, but it exceeded its knowledge. A grey stream of air descended from the sky, as if an enormous attractive force had sucked it downwards. After only an instant, it landed on the back of Huoyuhao's head, and quietly entered it. Who dares to fight with this brother over a person? The Skydream Iceworm flew into a rage. Its huge spiritual undulations instantly surged forth in an attempt to expel the grey stream of air from Huoyuhao's body. An extremely blurry figure appeared behind Huoyuhao, and an aged voice with a hard-to-describe imposingness echoed out. The hand grasps the sun and moon, and also plucks the stars. This world has no one like me. I didn't think that this old man would have a trace of a remnant spirit left that still existed here. The vague and illusory figure didn't seem to be affected by the Skydream Iceworm's powerful spiritual attack at all. With a whoosh, it disappeared into the back of Huoyuhao's head. The Skydream Iceworm didn't dare to strengthen his spiritual attack again, as traces of blood had already begun to seep out of Huoyuhao's 7 apertures. He discovered that, after the grey stream of air had entered Huoyuhao's mind, it had immediately turned into a soybean-sized grey pearl. Then, it had turned silent. It didn't conflict with his spiritual energy, nor could he affect it with his power. I can't be this unlucky. It was so hard to find a spiritual-type human, but a bastard wants to snatch him from me. Are the heavens jealous of a genius like myself? This brother is so pitiful. Although he was currently voicing his complaints, his movements didn't slow down at all. Dense white light gradually condensed and poured into Huoyuhao's body, while the Skydream Iceworm's body both gradually turned more transparent during the process, and rapidly decreased in volume. There had already been no turning back for him, from the instant he'd started to pour his energy into Huoyuhao's body. Huoyuhao's body had turned completely jade white, and resembled the previous appearance of the Skydream Iceworm. His shoulders' wounds were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Wahaha, no matter what way you put it, this brother is finally free. You bastards who took me as food no longer have any chance. Wahaha. The Skydream Iceworm's voice, who was clearly pleased with himself, gradually turned softer and softer. The huge spiritual energy that had previously covered 100 miles proceeded to shrink at a frightening speed, then gradually disappeared. Several terrifying auras from within the depths of the Great Stardew Forest simultaneously let out violent undulations, as if they'd sensed something. However, they were fated to not have any success in their endeavors. When the Skydream Iceworm's voice had completely disappeared, a jade-white halo soundlessly appeared beneath Huoyuhao's body. After circling around his body 3 times, its light dimmed, and the entire halo merged into his body, disappearing without a trace. Hua Yuhao didn't know that, while he was unconscious, he'd managed to obtain his first soul ring. Furthermore, this was a soul ring that was truly unrivaled and unique on the Douluo continent. The jade-white color gradually faded from Hua Yuhao, and a nice blue layer started to appear below his skin. This lasted roughly 10 seconds, before it gradually dimmed and restored the original color of his skin. Then, his body tilted, causing him to fall against the tree he'd previously leaned against. A thin white membrane that had a faint golden sheen to it soundlessly rose into the air, before it rapidly shrunk and formed a ball that disappeared inside of Hua Yuhao's heart. There were no more traces of the Skydream Iceworm Zoro after that. The big hole in the road had already closed at an earlier time, and except for the collapsed Hua Yuhao, the baboon that had been killed by him had had its corpse left on the ground. Everything else also seemed to have recovered to its normal state. Not long afterwards, two figures ran over extremely quickly. Ah! A figure let out a cry, and instantly sped up. She sped over to Hua Yuhao's body, and stopped beside him. "We're late. It seems little brother Yuhao was attacked. These soul beasts have really become more and more rampant. They've actually come out of the Great Stardew Forest." Tang Ya carefully helped Hua Yuhao up off the ground, a gloomy and worried expression on her face. Baby walked over to the baboon and turned it over. He saw that a slanted, foot-long wound had been inflicted on the baboon's chest, and that even its heart had been cut part. This was clearly a fatal wound. That was a win baboon. From its size, and the strength of its muscles, it should be a 10-year soul beast. It's already dead. Baby walked over to Tang Ya and squatted down to check on Hua Yuhao's condition. The thing that amazed them was that, although Hua Yuhao's clothing had been seriously damaged, they couldn't find any sign of injury on his body. Baby tapped Hua Yuhao's wrist with his right forefinger, which caused the white tiger dagger to drop into his palm. A faint blue light flashed in Baby's hand for an instant, and then a hazy blue luster immediately appeared on the white tiger dagger. This is a soul tool. Yuhao must have used it to kill that wind baboon. Although the wind baboon was only a 10-year soul beast, both its speed and power are relatively decent, and it can also use an innate soul skill to attack its opponents. Since he can kill a wind baboon at his age, little Yuhao is already quite good. It seems that our earlier judgment of Yuhao wasn't accurate enough. He should already be a first-ring soul master. Tang Ya anxiously examined Hua Yuhao's body, then said, "Talking about this is useless right now. We wasted time all because you insisted that I wash my hands and my face. If something happens to little Yuhao because of that, I'll never forgive myself. No matter what level of talent he has, I've decided that I'll definitely convince him to join our Tang